Hello, everyone, and welcome to the post-bed chat of Bwoah Racing League Season 4. And today we have our 4 team principals out of the 10 for BRO Season 4 right here with us. So we have Nishchay Wegi, that is Rusty Nish from Scuderia Alpha Tauri. We have Daniel, Big Man Joe from Alfa Romeo. Many of you might remember him from his Season 3 days with Alpha as well. We have Prophecy Plays, that's Nishil, who is the new team principal and new member of BRL for Haas. And last, we have Vikas, who's Mr. Wex, and he's the team principal for Renault for this season. So, welcome, gentlemen. And we're going to have a round robin event, and I'm going to ask each one of you questions one by one. And yeah, let's see what juicy information can we give our viewers for the upcoming season. So, let's begin with Rusty Nish, the team principal for Alpha Tauri. So, hey there, Rastinish. Do you have any initial thoughts about how the season 4 is going to turn out to be?
I know that it's going to be a lot of fun. I think like almost all the teams are really close. So that's amazing because I was not necessarily the biggest fan of the draft system, but I think at the end of the day, I've like fully invested in it and I buy into it and worked out pretty well for me as an individual team principal. So no complaints.
Yeah, definitely. And another huge change we have this year is instead of 20 races, we're going to be having 22 races for the season onwards. And thankfully, the draft system has been such that we will be guaranteed a full grid for almost every race. So, what are your thoughts on the long season that we have this time?
Yeah, that's amazing. I think in the last season, towards the second half, we had like a whole bunch of races where we saw a dozen cars on the grid at the most, which does make racing less exciting because you have lesser people running the alternate strategies and so on. But with a full grid and with teams coming into play, it's going to be a lot more fun. And like as you said, we've got reserve drivers. Apart from that, we've also got drivers for hire. So I'm pretty sure we should be seeing all 20 drivers for like 95% at the least. So that's amazing as well.
For sure. And that brings me to my next question. What made you go for your current driver lineup? Because, okay, for people who are not aware of this, Rastinish is a driver team principal. So for this season, we have 2 kinds of team principals, driver team principals and non-driver TPs. And Rastinish will be driving for his own team. So he has picked a steady driver lineup to go alongside him. So thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I did a lot of simulation in my mind with respect to who was a plausible target. And I got the target I wanted, which is amazing for me. But like I had 140 coins, and then below me I had UK, Vex, and Danny, who had like very few coins. Like they had about 120 and something around there. I knew who Danny was going to. It was like no question. Okay, so that was clear. And then Vex was a question mark, and I knew what UK wanted. But below me is where like there was a lot of unknown. But let me just tell you that the next call will probably be more fun because there were a lot of deals which took place backdoor, if I may put it out to the public over there. But RB Ferrello is a great driver. Like he's been teaching me a lot as well. From 2019, since he joined the league, we've been having a lot of practice sessions together, and he's been teaching me quite a lot. So that was amazing because we already had a good bond. As a driver, as an individual driver himself, he's like very accomplished. His wheel is back. So the pace of last season wasn't representative of his real pace because he was doing a lot of those races on his keyboard. So him for 95, no one else bid for him. And the time at which he came in the draft was what I was like most looking forward to because I didn't want him to come early, but then he came towards the back end, and at that point of time I had the most money. So it was easy and no one else bid, so I've got a lot of coins left. So I'm a very happy man. Apart from that, Jefferson as well. At least in my team, like we're pretty clear that we're going to practice together. Who is the fastest driver on Friday or Saturday? The fastest 2 are going to race. It's not driver 1, driver 2, driver 3. All 3 of us are a team, and we're going to have the fastest 2. We're looking at it from a constructor POV. We'll think about the drivers later, but Jefferson's also shown a lot of pace. Like his 2019 pace wasn't up to the mark. He was my teammate at Ferrari and he wasn't very invested in the game as well. But for the few RTZH races he turned up to in the 2020 game. With zero practice, he was quicker than a lot of the BRL boys. So I believe that if I can get him motivated enough to practice, he'll be really quick as well.
Yeah, most definitely. And as you mentioned, so for our viewers, Jefferson is the reserve driver for Scuderia AlphaTauri for the season. And as you mentioned, that the best drivers of the pick will get to go on the track. So would that mean that we would be seeing more appearances from a reserve driver as well throughout the season, or is it something more like an off chance thing?
Maybe, maybe not. I'm going to put in my 100% and hopefully I'll be able to keep my spot. So maybe, maybe not. It just comes down to that weekend who's feeling more confident, who has more pace on the track, and then we'll just see from there.
Definitely. And last thing before I take the heat off you would be the question that are we gonna see some team orders from Scuderia AlphaTauri this season, or is it a level playing field and anybody's open to take some any shots?
See, there's team orders are only going to be in place when they make absolute sense. Like for example, like Bahrain, it made no sense for Ricardo and Ocon to fight because both of them lost out on points. So if it's a scenario like that, there's no point racing and ruining both of your races. At least for me, I am going to think as a team. I'm not going to look at the drivers' standings when making decisions, but we're definitely going to look forward as a team. The one thing we are definitely going for is the Constructors' Championship. Drivers' Championship will be a bonus, but Constructors definitely priority one.
Yeah, looks like you've got your head already in the game, and I remember how tensed you were before the draft. So yeah, really, really massive improvement to see you this way. And well, I have one bonus question for you then. How do you feel you were hampered, or maybe an advantage that you got being a driver TP against a non-driver TP?
I don't know. I think a lot of non-driver TPs missed the ball. I think Dishil was the one driver TP who did non-driver TP who did really well. Went out and sought his number one target. So kudos to him for that. But I think other driver TPs teams have become like slightly stronger than I expected them to be because of the way they went about the draft, which is very good for them because their strategy worked out really well. They talked amongst themselves. We all had a pact, and it all worked out for like the 4-5 of us, which is great as well. So, but yeah, I told this earlier as well. It was a disadvantage, no doubt. But at the end of the day, you've got to. It's all about small margins, and you've just got to work on those and close those margins.
That's definitely true. And hopefully that does convert into some solid results for you in season 4. We'll be keeping an eye out for SAT this season for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Um, we'll move on to our season 3 drivers champion, Big Man Joe, who's representing Alfa Romeo Racing. And it's kind of like his boyhood club at this point, like how we would have in football. And he was very, very interested to continue his union with Alfa Romeo, and he did. And he's another driver TP along with Rusty here. And first, your initial thoughts, Big Manjo. What do you think the 22 races in a season is going to do for you? Do you think it's manageable throughout the year, or is it going to be a bit difficult and we'll see some factors in play?
Yeah, I mean, the team draft went pretty well. I'm still not very familiar with who's in what team. It's very difficult at the moment now. Like once we go to Australia and we see everyone in the correct car, then I think it'll be easier to know who's in what team. So I think the draft went pretty well for everyone. I think maybe some drivers like Oli Kapi might have been left out, but for the most part, it's a good lineup for everyone. Yeah, I think from Alfa Romeo's perspective, I want to continue with the same team just for a sense of familiarity and having a team like who's more far down the grid, like in terms of not in terms of the cars, but in terms of when you go on the track, usually Alfa Romeo Williams are right at the end, so there's less chance of cars like other cars jumping you in the pits. So if you're in a Williams, there's pretty much no chance any car will jump you. So if you're in a Merc, there's always that chance. So that's why even when I had to vote, I voted for Williams or Alpha for that reason. So when it comes to the fine margins, if you're fighting for a championship, those things do matter. And plus now I'm with the wheel, I have to improve my pace a lot. On some tracks, I'm pretty fast, but some of the other tracks I'm really struggling. So that's why I wanted to go safe. I took Vineet as well, just to focus on trying to improve throughout the season and try to do our best. We had a good driver in Baby Shumi. He was my junior in college as well, so I know him pretty well. And he's also getting better at the game. He's matching my times in some tracks. So it was a good lineup. And then, unfortunately, we had to swap him for someone else. DPA, I know him pretty well. I was the one who got him up to speed in the new game. So look forward to racing with all two of them. Let's hope to see us fighting for some places, fighting for championships. Let's see how it goes. At this moment, I don't really know. At least from my end, I don't really know how it's going to play out. So let's see in Jan how it goes. Yeah.
Definitely. And since you mentioned your drivers and the driver lineups and the surprise transfer that had to go through, you were the team with the lowest amount of coins available in your purse. And that put you in a really tight spot. It was more like not even a spot. You were maybe squeezed into a corner of the room and you were told to stay there no matter what. So did that change your strategy at all, if there was a strategy, or were you pretty much limited in your choices? Maybe you had just one target that you wanted to achieve.
I was pretty much going for maybe Rocketman or someone around that bracket, because even I didn't discuss with him who I was going to buy. I think we never had the discussion at any point, we're going to continue the same team. Even he went into the draft with an open mind thinking, anyone's going to buy him. But then when it came to Rocketman, no one put the bid for him, right? I think it was only me. So finally he accepted, it's going to be another season with Danny. And it's more convenient for both of us since we live together, then everything syncs, our calendar syncs together. And then I think I did try for Ghost Reaper X just to try to hike up his price a bit. But that's about it. Yeah, I was pretty much going for Rocketman.
Yeah. Okay. And you had Baby Shumi as your reserve driver. And then there was a driver swap involved, and now you have VPA as your reserve driver. So would there be more chances for VPA to come during the season, or would it be a more consistent lineup of you and Rocketman? So will we be seeing more appearances from VPA?
I would say it'll be more consistent. And if we are going to miss races, it's going to be two of us missing the races rather than just one of us. So then it's going to be VP and another high driver. So we're going to try to keep it consistent. And VPA, from what I know him, he just moved to the controller recently. So even he's trying to up his pace in the game. So I don't, even Rocketman is pretty new to F1 2020. So it's going to be, I think even as a team principal, I'm uncertain about our own pace, mine and the team. So I've just got to take it a day at a time and see how the things go. So for the most part, it'll just be me and Rocketman. Yeah.
All right. And since you did mention that everybody's coming to grips with the game as well as the controls, so there might be a pretty few chances where you'll have run-ins with your teammates. So would team orders apply to you as well, or there is no chance of hierarchy, at least for the first few races?
No, it's a new season, so clean slate completely. Pretty much we're going to just assess how each of us are on track. So if Rocketman's faster, I'm going to let him through. No arguments there. Yeah. So team orders will come in, but since all of us, we don't really know where we are in terms of pace, so yeah, we'll just go on a track or race paces and then decide on track. Yeah.
Definitely bringing your unpredictability factor right onto the round one. So definitely something to keep an eye on by the other team principals. And lastly, since this question applies to you the most, I'm sure, since you were pretty much hampered by the entire grid, what disadvantages did you feel you had competing against the non-driver TPs, or if you did have a few plus points when you were up against them, or even for the rest of the season?
Just because of the amount of coins I had to spend, I think constructor-wise, it's going to be more harder. Like we have the non-driver TPs have two very strong drivers because they have a big kitty to spend it. So they had a big kitty to spend it. So I think constructor-wise, Alfa Romeo is not going to be up there. Maybe top 5 would be a good result for us. That was the only disadvantage there. But other than that, I think on track it'll be fine. I think it'll be close between pretty much everyone. Now that the draft is over, we have to live with the results. So I'm just looking forward to the season. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, you still have the mid-season transfer, so I wouldn't write you completely off. So maybe keep a little tiny eye on that. But thank you for that. And let's move on to Haas F1. For season 4, we have Nishal Bhatia, popularly known as Prophecy. Maybe some West members would know. And he is the first non-driver TP we have here on the post chat. So, Prophecy, how was the experience for the draft for you? And what preparations did you had to go through to, combine your team well for the long season that we are going to have?
Well, it was hard because I wasn't watching BRL since the beginning. I joined halfway through last season, so I had to catch up just like a week before the bid started, just to get some data. And I also had to watch all the race to 0 hours because we had some new drivers coming in which weren't in BRL. So it was a bit of a challenge, but I had a spreadsheet going, just like making numbers which I would go up to in a bidding war. So yeah.
Okay, we had a little bit of analytics going on here. Definitely something the TPs will keep in mind henceforth, but really good tactics. So, how well did that tactic play out for you when it came to your driver lineup? Do you feel that at the end of the day, you got the lineup you wanted? Because we all know there were some issues, but about the end product, how satisfied are you with the 3 drivers that you chose?
Right now, I think I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say this, but I think I'm going to win the Constructors' Championship because I have General Pepe, one of the best drivers. I think he's the only one who can match Daniel on the field. So one of the better ones, obviously. And then Baby Shumi, I think if he's right, he's a fast driver. I don't want to follow team orders unless I need to. So I think I will push them both, and hopefully those two can always end up on the podium.
Definitely. And let's hope the optimism quickly translates into the results. But you spoke about the 2 drivers, and you have your reserve driver who was the team driver, Ghost Reaper X. Due to technical issues, he won't be able to race as much as you would like to. But if possible, would we see him in a few races at least, or is it going to be more like an emergency backup going forward?
I'd say it will be more for emergency backup thing because he has technical issues. I don't think it is possible to him to come on the field unless it's a emergency, so to speak. So yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Definitely. Although we have three driver TPs here, and you're the only non-driver TP right now. And how did you feel coming up against them, especially since they already know who one driver of the team is, and you had to go with a completely mix and match sort of lineup? So did you think you were at a disadvantage, or did the higher purse amount kind of help you and level the field or something?
I would say it was fairly equal. A higher purse amount obviously helped up a lot because I wasn't under pressure just to stay in the thing. So I could afford a good second driver. So I think it worked out well for me. Plus, I've been watching these guys drive for like half a season. So I knew what their paces are like and all that. So yeah, wasn't that hard.
Definitely. And it does look like you do have the firepower right now to definitely challenge, maybe even win. But yeah, maybe it might just stir up some competitiveness in the rest of the grid. So, and you did mention team orders as well, that there will be some team orders coming into play. But would we be seeing this to be a regular thing? As in, would it be a team formula, or is it more dependent on race?
I'd say it's dependent on the race. I don't want to discourage anyone from racing. So if General Pepe is most likely to be a faster driver, if he is the faster driver and the second driver is holding him back, I will let him through. But if it's not a situation which will affect the final standings, I'll definitely encourage them to go and just race.
All right, that's positive to hear. So thank you for that. And Haas is definitely the team to look out for this season. And yeah, the viewers will definitely be excited to see them in the first few rounds. So thank you, Prophecy. And here we move on to the last guest of our evening. We have Vikas, aka Mr. Wex, the OG, and he was one of the last entrants into the team principal elections, and he got Renault. So you drove for Renault last season, and you did have quite a few strong results, and now you'll be managing Renault. So how does that feel? And do you think that this season will suit you as Renault and as the team as well?
Honestly, coming to team principle wise, I'm not that great at managing stuff and not ordering people around. But okay, we can put up a discussion around the team at who are good at calling strategies and calling out what to do, what not to do. But yeah, I would feel Renault is a pretty good chance to score good in the constructors.
Definitely. And speaking about the team, what about your driver lineup? How satisfied are you with the drivers that you got, and what could we see going forward?
Well, I didn't really know the pace of the Red Devil, but I have raced with Avi in Race to Zero R. He's very good at quali, but not so consistent in race pace. Well, that he should practice on that. I think he has got a new wheel coming up where he can set it up and probably get more pace on the wheel, and perhaps might be faster than me also.
Okay, so definitely we have a few surprise packages in the team. And
Yep, yep.
speaking of your reserve driver, would we be seeing something similar to Alpha Tauri where everybody gets a chance based on their evaluation, or is it going to be more like, yeah, the reserve is making some few off appearances or something?
It's nothing like the reserve will make only less fewer appearances in many races, but it's all about how comfortable the driver is in every track, in their own tracks, how fast they are in their own tracks. So definitely, if they're fast, I can sit out.
Okay, straightforward. So Rashinish has something to focus on because there are some pretty similar strategies. So going to be wheel to wheel action, I guess, if this continues. But uh, although since you have pretty decent drivers, I think one of the most well balanced teams on the grid right now is Renault, and I would definitely be interested to know in how team orders would be coming into your uh, organization for this matter, and if it's going to be a huge thing which impacts every race, or are you going to be more like a free space?
I'm going to be a free spirit, more like let the drivers do whatever they want, unless it's safe for both the drivers and score points, whatever makes them happy.
All right, so fight on, right? But that's good. We'll be definitely seeing more, I think, daring moves, more straightforward appeals, I think. So Renault is definitely on the radar right now. It's not just Haas now. So pretty strong candidates, pretty strong strategies. And so you are also a driver TP, and as we heard Prophecy talk about a while ago, how being a non-driver TP was to him. Do you think you were impaired by any chance on how the non-driver TPs were more free, or did you think that you were able to cover up with your own seat, of course, and maybe a bit more limited worry to think about?
Not much worry as to say, but yeah, as being a driver TP, it would be much more like more work in terms of things like call outs and stuff. But as I told, I would let free the drivers to decide how they want to race or how they want to play it out on the track.
Well, definitely. Plus, you may also get a chance at an optional race engineer. So one more staff member for you. Yay. But I don't think you'll be requiring that anytime soon. So that has concluded a round robin event for the four team principals out here. And for that, why don't we have a little bit of a prediction round? So I'll start with Ashtinesh first. How do you think Alpha Tauri will fare in season 4? Can you give me some sort of prediction as to where you'll end up in the?
I'm not going to predict, but one thing I can assure is we're definitely going for the win. I think there's no point looking and trying to say that, like this team's stronger, that team's stronger. At the end of the day, they're all human because we're all running equal cars. Like had I been driving an AlphaTauri in realistic, I might have had a realistic prediction, but over here the machinery is the same. It all comes down to the driver, and so including me, I know I have a lot to improve, which I am working on because like at the start of the draft, at one point of time, like I love winning. Okay, winning is always priority for me. At one point of time, I thought about dropping down to a non-driver TP, but then it just made more sense to channelize that energy into becoming better at the game. And that's what we're going to do. We're not going to be scared about the General Pepes or the Vexes or the Big Man Joes. We're going to go out there and try to get P1.
For sure. I like that mentality, which brings me to a twist question. Which team are you most looking forward match, or a team that you fear is going to be the biggest competitor to you?
Look, like I said, they're all like, because of the draft system, the way it worked out, everyone's super close. Everyone has like two very good drivers. Let it be, say, Freeze and KDB, or let it be Srivatsan and Accelerate, Gouts and Vix. They're all very good teams. So I think the competition is going to be really close all across the grid. I just can't put my finger on any one team.
Definitely, lots of unpredictability. Big Man Joe, how about you? Where do you think you're going to fare for season 4?
Yeah, I think I got the question. I think I'll go by my expectations. If we Russell there, okay, yeah. So I think if we end up in the top five, both in both the drivers and the constructors, I think it'll be a good season for us because I think by halfway through the season, the upcoming season, I'll know where I stand with relation to the other drivers and with relation to my own pace on the controller to see if I can match that or even improve that. So I'm looking forward to that, and yeah, just to get a chance to drive with the new drivers. I'm most looking forward to that to see how they are, what is their racecraft, what strategies they will use. So it'll be interesting to see that.
Definitely. Any team you're hitting a lot of your wings with?
Uh, yeah, I don't remember who's in which team. That's the problem. So I think, yeah, in general, just looking forward to some new names racing alongside General Pepe, racing alongside the others, see how they are. And then I think maybe 3-4 races in, then I can answer this question better. Then I can think about, okay, maybe this team is who I'm aiming at. So, yeah.
For sure. We know where to circle back on in the coming weeks. Prophecy, what about you? What are your honest predictions?
Well, I hope the Haas ends up at the top. Obviously, can't predict it though, because as they say, equal cars, equal performance. It's going to be a tough competition. But ideally, yeah, I think predictions-wise, I'd say Haas at the top, and maybe followed by probably Alfa Romeo. I'm going to say.
Okay. We have our first analytical responses. So yeah, that. And any team you feel are your closest competitors?
I think Alfa Romeo is one of the closest competitors for us right now. I'd also probably thrown Williams in there, but not as much. So yeah, main rivalry probably is going to end up being between Alfa Romeo and Haas, according to me.
All right. So there's a prediction for a 2-horse race. So we'll see. We'll have a mid-season prediction check for sure. And last but not least, Mr. Wex, what are your humble predictions for season 4 for Renault?
Wait, perhaps I would go on with Nishil, same as Nishil. Perhaps General Pepe is faster than we think. But a good fight. I would expect a good fight with Big Manjo as well on the track. Let's see. Let's see how it plays out.
Any team you feel will be giving Renault a hard time? Any of your close competitors? Predictions?
Well, I would like to answer this in the mid-season. I really don't know how it plays out on the field.
Okay, more data needed. Everybody does. So we'll see. It's going to be fun. It's going to be an exciting first half. So first 11 races might just dictate the table already. So yeah, well, this was the round robin event with our team principals, the post-bid chat. Let us know which team you're most excited for, and let's move on to the next batch of team principals. So thank you all.